Pets Add Life, your guide to the latest in pet trends, products, and the joy of the human-animal bond with Kristen Levine and Chris Bonifati, powered by the American Pet Products Association and Dog TV.
All right, welcome to another very special episode of Pets Add Life. This is going to be our Thanksgiving special, and I am one of your hosts, Chris Bonifati, and joining me, as always, is the fantastic and fabulous Kristen Levine. Kristen, it's Thanksgiving week. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I love this week because it's a short work week, and get to spend time with family and stuff our faces and watch football.
God bless America. Are you doing any traveling or are you staying at home?
Yeah, actually, we are just taking a quick trip down to Atlanta to spend Thanksgiving with my husband's sister and her family. My mom's going to join us, and all the dogs and cats will be there, so it'll be a lot of fun.
That sounds like a full house to me.
How about you? What are you doing for
Yeah, we're going upstate to spend it with my parents and a few of my cousins, but it's the same thing. Full house, lots of dogs, lots of cats. Tiger has to stay home because we're afraid of bringing her to a new location. We think that she'd rather just die.
She'd prefer to stay home.
But I'm going to have a product recommendation, something that I bought later on in the show that will make me feel a lot more comfortable about leaving her home for a few days. So we'll get to that. This is a special episode. We're kind of breaking the format wide open. We're going to have some incredibly unique guests that you've never heard from before. That's a guarantee. We're going to share some special stories. We've got some product ideas kind of based around this wonderful holiday. And we'll still answer two of your questions at the end of the show, so don't fret. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and get into Storytime.
Kristen and Chris present Storytime.
All right, Chris. So my story this week is one about a new trend, and it's people taking bucket list trips with their senior dogs. Now, I know bucket lists for dogs and for pets in general is not necessarily a new thing, but apparently the travel part of it is. So maybe you can work your Thanksgiving holiday trip. Maybe you can kind of make it into a bucket list trip for your dog by doing something they would really love to do while you're there. But I read about this in, it was called Artful Living. And this writer, she discovered this trend when she was hiking in Red Rock Canyon, and she stopped to pet this guy's golden retriever. And he said, we're on a bucket list trip. He's has a terminal illness and he loves this hike. So we are on this hike for him. And so that kind of gave her the idea to take her senior dog on a bucket list trip. And I gotta kind of question this bucket list trip because her dog's bucket list trip was to the Plaza Hotel in New York City. That sounds like her bucket list to me, but yeah. But she did say they have incredible canine amenities there. And so I guess he really enjoyed sleeping on 1,000-count Egyptian cotton sheets and enjoying the canine menu. And she even talks about a couple in North Carolina who lives on the beach who said, we don't necessarily have to go far for our dog's bucket list trip because our dog just loves the beach. So they take several beach trips a month for their dog. So I thought that was kind of cool. And I just was wondering if Tiger had a bucket list trip, would it be to the kitchen?
Yeah, it would be to wherever the closest slice of American cheese is. So she gets to do her bucket list trip every day at about 2:30 a.m.
2:30 a.m.?
Yeah, well, she wakes me up because she's a cat, and that's what cats do. And she wants a little slice of cheese, and she's old, so she gets one. And that's just,
oh my goodness.
And then I get a slice of cheese too, so it's really not that bad. It's really not that bad. Now she's, God bless her, she's got not a single adventurous bone left in her body. We could leave the sliding door open. She won't even go investigate it. So, her bucket list trip would be to the kitchen to eat. I mean, it's gotten to the point where she'll smell just the coils of our stove heating up, And it doesn't matter what we're making. She comes down and she's trying to climb up my leg because she just wants the people food.
Sure.
But this Thanksgiving, I'm sure she'll get some stuff. And that's a great segue into my story.
Okay, what's your story?
Because with Thanksgiving coming up, there's a lot of questions of, can my cat or my dog eat blank? And I want to preface this whole entire thing by saying that the funniest time I've ever seen an animal partake in Thanksgiving was growing up with our Maine Coon Gizmo, a regal gray and white Maine Coon, lion's mane, fur and everything. And we really didn't let him eat people food because he was truly mischievous and capable of opening cabinets and getting into the refrigerator. So we didn't like to tempt him. But one time for Thanksgiving, my mom let him lick the mixer wand from the whipped cream.
Right.
And he went nuts, and it was all up in his beard and stuff like that. And he needed a bath. And he never had whipped cream after that. The bath was not, he was not a water cat. He didn't like that. But
you don't happen to have a photo of that, of the whipped cream all over?
I actually think I do.
That would be cool to see.
Remind me to send it over because it came up on my mom's photo memories and she sent it over. So I think I actually do have the picture of him licking the wands. But it brings me to the meat and potatoes.
I like that.
Of what can you give your dog? And general rule of thumb, if it has sugar, if it has spice, and if it has a lot of salt, don't do it. They are not built for that. But stuff that's really actually super healthy for your dog, and you could actually incorporate this into their everyday diet. Sweet potatoes and pumpkin, incredible for your dog's health. So just make sure that if you're using like canned pumpkin puree, it's not like the canned pumpkin pie, pumpkin spice. Right. It's got to be the raw pumpkin. Yeah, those spices. Give your dog cinnamon and see what kind of blowout they have in the backyard. You're not going to have a good time.
Gross.
Yeah, gross. Same with sweet potatoes. There's actually a lot of dog treats, dog food that's sweet potato based. Very healthy for them. Has all the good stuff that they need. Dogs are not carnivorous. They are omnivores. They are opportunistic omnivores. So they can get their nutrition from things like potatoes and pumpkins. And then a big no-no, turkey bone. The dog should not chew on the turkey bone. It's not tough enough. Very similar to chicken bones. They will splinter. They become a choking hazard and can really mess stuff up. So avoid letting your dog chew on the turkey bone. But that's my advice.
Great advice.
Yeah,
can I add two things to that?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Make sure you keep an eye on the garbage can. Because when you're throwing those turkey carcasses and things in there, your dog might try to get into the trash can. And also, if you have guests, whether you are a guest or you're hosting guests, make sure to tell everyone to please not feed the dog.
That's a very fair point.
People are well-meaning.
I found the photograph.
Oh, good.
I found the photograph. I'm using Microsoft Outlook to send it over to all the good stuff. And I'm sure in post, producer Ron.
It will magically appear.
It'll magically appear. We can't see it right now, but it'll magically appear at some point.
I'm going to pretend I'm seeing it right now. Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
Oh my goodness. Okay. And I believe that's story time. So we're going to move on to a very special guest segment.
Beyond the Leash, exploring the untold stories of pet passion and professionalism.
All right, so normally we have two guests on the show. And for this Thanksgiving special, we've decided that Chris and I will actually be the guests so that maybe you can learn a little bit more about us if you care to know more. So, Chris, how's this going to work?
Yeah, so we're going to have producer Ron on the show to ask us some of these questions. Hey, Ron. Hey, how's it going?
Hi.
And I believe we've got 10 questions. The questions are going to pop up on the screen. Kristen and I will each have 1 minute to give our answers, and then we'll move on to the next question. Full disclosure, we did get to take a quick peek at the questions, but that was like a few weeks ago, so I forgot them. So I'm going to consider, we're going to go ahead and say that we don't know what these questions are. So we're going to be thinking on our feet a bit. So excuse our and ums as we try our best to retain our professional acumen.
That sounds like a plan. I really don't belong here, but I will say that if somebody exceeds the minute, I'll take that person out of the show. All right. I have that freedom here to control what's going on. We have a minute for each answer. All right. So don't, the fact that you've been doing this show like for 2 years, it means nothing to me. I really want to make sure that our rules here are being met and nobody's doing whatever, especially Chris, because Kristen is a good girl. I know all about it, but Chris, I'm fearful, to be honest. I don't know how this is going to go. I don't know.
I feel like this is a sort of like an audition.
It is an audition, and you're going to fail. All right, I'm just saying you're going to fail.
We are set up to fail.
So please behave. It's Thanksgiving. All right, just be good.
Okay.
Don't be a Chris.
Yeah, don't be a Chris. Santa Claus is watching at this point.
That's right.
He's really looking at that list right now, so be good.
All right, are you ready? Here's question number 1. Are you sure? You ready?
Yeah.
Ready.
You got a timer straight after this question. Let's do it. Tell me about your first pets. What do you remember most about them, and what impact did they have on your life? Chris, you start.
Okay, my first pet, I was not old enough to really remember. It was a husky named Pokey, and my parents had them while I was 1 and 2, so I don't remember it at all. So we're gonna fast forward to the pets I do remember, Critter and Coachy, my first 2 cats that were my parents' cats, and I remember they were direct opposites of each other. Critter was incredibly personable, would greet everybody who came into the house, would always be loving up on everybody and climbing all the furniture, and Coach lived in my parents' closet, completely scared of everything, any loud noise. But on the days that I stayed home from school sick, both cats would come and comfort me and keep me company. They were absolutely incredible. I think we had them until I was about 9 or 10 before they passed, and that's my minute.
Your time is up. Critter and Coach, the great names.
That was good. All right, Kristen, are you ready?
My turn. I'm ready.
All right, let's do it.
Okay.
Here's your time.
So my first pet was a dog named Susie, but I don't remember her because I was like 2 years old. And then we had a dog named Noelle who apparently didn't like kids, and so we had to find a new home for her. But the dog that I remember the most as a child was Ginger. And Ginger was a blonde Cocker Spaniel. And she was my best buddy. When I was a kid, we moved around a lot. My dad would get transferred every couple of years. So it was kind of hard to make friends because you were always the new kid. So what I remember most about Ginger was I really, truly felt that she was my absolute best friend. And I think I credit Ginger a little bit for me going into the pet industry as a career, because this is a little sad. I'm going to bring it down here real quick. But when my parents divorced, my mom gave Ginger to a friend, and that devastated me. And so there.
Ending on a high note.
Ending on a high note. You know
Ending
me.
On a high note.
As always. All right, that was beautiful, everybody. That was question number 1. Are you ready for question number 2?
I'm always prepared.
Woohoo! All right. Let's do it. How did you first get into the pet space? Was there a particular moment or experience that sparked your journey? This question is for you, Kristen.
Okay. Yes. I first got into the pet industry when I got a job. Actually, started out as a volunteer for the SPCA of Tampa Bay. I was new to Florida, and my husband knew the executive director there, so he introduced us, and I started volunteering there. And a few short months later, they had a PR position open up, which I applied for and got the job, and ended up working there for 15 years doing PR for the SPCA, which, ultimately it was like the greatest job ever. My job was to promote pet adoption, responsible pet care, and that really led to this whole fabulous career working with pets and people who love them. Do I have to take the full minute?
You got to take the full minute.
Oh, okay. So what was the question?
Now you're just stalling. No. You're just stalling.
Well, never mind. Okay.
You're out of time, Kristen.
Okay.
Wow.
Luckily.
Cheater.
Do we really have to take the whole minute?
I think so.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, because otherwise somebody's going to say something for like a yes or no answer or 10 seconds, and it's not fun. We need.
How did you get into the pet space? Yes. Next question.
All right, this one's for you, Chris.
Okay. Well, when I graduated college way back in the year of our Lord 2014, I was supposed to get a software job, but the venture capitalist who funded that firm was like either arrested or slapped with some fines, and so they withdrew all the hiring. So I moved back home, and that's important for two reasons. A, it changed the path of my career, and B, it introduced me to my now wife. But we're talking about the career. So I was pretty depressed. All of my friends from college were up in Boston, and I was back at home. So I was doing a lot of ridiculous jobs. I was a camp counselor. I was bartending. I built haunted houses. I worked for a cosmetics company. I worked for a shipping company. And eventually, my next temp job landed me at APPA for a temp position. I did amazing because I'm an amazing person, and they decided to hire me on full time. And that's how you use a minute, Kristen.
You just nailed it, right?
That's how you use a minute.
Okay.
I'll give you another 10 seconds to talk about that gig at the cosmetic company, because I feel that there was a story there.
Oh, it was miserable, man. It was like the writing was on the wall that this company was about to fold, and everybody knew it, and everybody hated me because I just represented like the temp who took somebody's job, and yeah, it was awful. My job entailed fixing all of their spreadsheets. There was this CEO.
And we're off to the
we're out of time.
Yeah.
The second you say spreadsheets, I'm
It
out.
was spreadsheets. It was miserable and.
All right. Question number 3. Who's first now? Is it Chris?
Yes.
I believe
Chris.
I am.
All right. Chris, if you could choose any animal to add to your family, no restrictions, what would it be and why?
This is actually a great question. I think we're gonna just take morality and practicality out of the equation entirely. I think part of me wants to say raccoon because they're just they are adorable. They're just little guys with their little thumbs, and they could do stuff. And I'm sure like if you could domesticate a raccoon, like in this hypothetical, you could train it, and they have thumbs, so you could probably like train it to like change the TV channel for you. But I'm gonna go completely off the rails here and say that having a giraffe would be amazing. Like a giraffe is just such a like imagine a giraffe in your backyard, and you wake up and you're sitting there enjoying your morning coffee, looking out the window, and this giraffe just sticks its head in, and you give him like some leaves and a banana, and maybe you guys have like an unspoken bond. Maybe you can communicate telepathically. Maybe it lets you ride on its back sometimes. Maybe it wears a little bow tie, like all the way down here, or maybe all the way up here. Who knows?
Oh my gosh.
Possibilities are endless.
Oh my gosh.
A giraffe, Kristen. Who knew?
A giraffe. I would not have guessed that. Nor the raccoon.
All right. Are you ready for this?
Well, I'm kind of ready. I'm torn though, because I'm torn between a miniature donkey, because when we lived in Florida, we had 2 mini donks, and they were the best pets. We had Izzy and Willow. And they were so sweet. They were super curious. Our dogs used to chase them up and down the fence line, and they would, do their hee-haw, which sounds hilarious. And don't ask me to do that because I can't.
Please do. Come on.
No. Well, no. Okay. Anyway, but these donkeys were so great because they brought the whole neighborhood together. People would stop by and, they would bring carrots or apples, or they would just come by to ask what their names were. And on occasion, when they were feeling a little frisky, people would come watch that part. But but we were just known as the house with the donkeys.
That's hilarious. I couldn't do a donkey because my first ever horror movie I ever watched as a kid was Pinocchio.
Right.
Which, when you're a small child, is absolutely a horror film.
Guys, we're off to question number 4. All right, Kristen, this is for you. What's the funniest or quirkiest thing your pet does that always makes you laugh?
Oh, okay. This one's pretty easy. So our dog Tulip is a miniature pinscher Chihuahua Jack Russell mix. And she's about 16 pounds, and she's got these long skinny legs. And when she walks, or we call it her prance, something's wrong with her shoulder sockets, because I don't know if you're watching, you can see what I'm doing. Like, her legs kick out, like they don't just go forward, they go out and around. And if you're watching her, if she's coming at you, it is the cutest thing ever. And people always comment when we take her places and people are coming towards us, they always say, "Your dog is prancing. Did you know that?" Yes. I guess we should have named her Prancer, but I don't know why that is. I'm not familiar enough with any of those 3 breeds to know if any of them do that, or maybe it's just a genetic deformity that causes it, but it is really super cute.
She's just fancy.
She is fancy.
She's just fancy.
All right. Chris, are you ready for this?
Yeah, give it to me.
Here you go.
All right, so Tiger's got a lot of quirks. She's a weird old lady, but I think my favorite is she still sees Hope and I as like her kittens. And so if you after like a long day or a long walk or a workout, lay down on the floor, she will stand on your chest and lick your entire face like she was giving you a bath, like you were a kitten. And it's disgusting. Her breath smells like cat food, but it's so adorable because you could tell she's not being dainty about it. She's getting in there, full tongue, huge laps, really, and you're just looking at her like, what are you doing? And then she'll get up to your hairline and start pulling at the roots of your hair, which is just a ridiculous thing. And now she's learned that that's the best way to wake us up too, when she's hungry in the middle of the night. So
there you go. All right, that was amazing. That's 4 questions in, and we're off to question number 5. Chris, this one is for you. If you could invent a pet product to make your life easier, what would it be, Chris?
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. I'm going to assume again that this hypothetical throws away all morality or science. And I think what I would want is a simulacrum of me for when I go away that could just take care of my pet. Like just a robot Chris that acts like me and knows how to take care of my pet, and the pet will look at it and be like, yes, my owner is still home, I haven't been abandoned. Because there's nothing more heartbreaking than when I check the cameras in the morning and I hear Tiger desperately meowing because she's deaf, so she doesn't know if we're home. So she's like kind of echolocating in a way, but she knows if she yells long enough, somebody's gonna come find her and see what she needs. So it would have to be either a clone or a robot Chris that could take care of the pet when I'm away so that I don't cry on Thanksgiving and Christmas. That's exactly what it would have to be. Somebody get on that. Elon Musk, Steve
Elon.
Jobs.
I think
Steve Jobs
we're
is
almost there, Chris.
We're
I
almost
really
there,
think
yeah.
like in a year, you're going to have that AI Chris taking care of either a tiger or an AI tiger. And then it's just going to be robots taking care of each other.
And they could robots taking care of each other.
You know
Sometimes I feel like we're already there, aren't we? All just robots taking care of each other.
Robots add life. That's our next show
Robots
coming
add
up.
life.
next year. But off to you, Kristen Levine.
Okay, well, I bet you guys don't know this, but I already created a pet product.
Ooh.
And let me tell you a little backstory on it. I've been blogging about pet care for a little over a decade now. And I used to get really great traffic, like a lot of views to any of the articles I wrote about how to clean up dog pee or poop or cat pee or poop, like cat peeing on the bed or, the dog marking in the house. And so I used to recommend the products I used. And I decided, you know what? I'm just going to create my own because there were certain things I didn't like about some of those products. So I have my very own line of pet stain and odor remover called Kinderbean. And it's available on Amazon and kinderbeanpet.com. And I also launched a laundry formula last year. And they're all, by the way, enzyme-based. So all natural, USA made, women-owned company, kinderbeanpet.com. How's that?
How's that? I would say that if this was a contest, I would definitely give Chris this.
1 point for Chris.
That wasn't the question. If you could invent, don't plug stuff you already.
But she did.
I invented it.
She invented it.
You can now think of something like an AI Chris robot or something that wasn't invented.
I don't think AI Chris robot deserves a win. It seems lazy.
You're too kind. It's Thanksgiving. You're so nice.
I am kind.
My God. All right. Anyway, just FYI, Kristen, just look at the question first. Okay.
Dream big. Dream big.
I said create. Okay, if you could invent. What invent, create, really is that different?
No, the thing is there something that doesn't exist right now? Anything that you could go out and invent now?
Okay, well, as a matter of fact, I invented and have a patent on a product that I created when we had a horse. Would you like to hear more about that?
Not really. Question number 6 is around the corner. And now here's Kristen, you're first. Question number 6.
Oh.
Top 3 foods you'd actually share with your pet. No judgment.
Top 3 foods. And I could answer this in 3 seconds, let alone 60. But
60.
Are you, is the timer going?
There
you go. Okay. So the first food I share with Tulip is little pieces of cheese, but more specifically, boar's head smoked Gouda, or she also likes Vermont sharp cheddar. So those are her favorites and my favorites as well. Let's see. The second thing I share with her is peanut butter. And we like Teddy's peanut butter. I think it's the smooth. Yeah, I don't like the crunchy peanut butter. So she likes that. What else do I share with her? So sometimes we'll share, after dinner, I'll let her lick the plate a little bit if there's some little bit of lean meat left on it. Usually it's turkey or chicken or sometimes fish. So yeah, that's it. Cheese, peanut butter, and lean meats. Nothing greasy.
Those are good answers.
Good stuff.
I'm gonna sound like a redneck compared to you, like you and your fancy cheeses. Because here's Tiger number. I'm gonna work my way up.
Okay.
Number 3, most often shared. When I make chicken, I always take about 4 or 5 ounces of the chicken and pan roast it without any seasoning or oil for Tiger to enjoy, because it's really good for the cat. Number 2, unsalted butter. I'll put some unsalted butter, just like a little bit, in a little bowl, and let her lick that because she loves dairy. If I'm cooking, the second butter hits the pan, nuts. She's going insane. So just a little bit of butter. I know it's not the best thing for her, but just a little bit as a treat. And then finally, the famous slices of American cheese. The cheapest you could find, but not quite the Kraft singles because I hate all the extra wrapper, but like the store brand, hyper processed American cheese. Chris gets some, Tiger gets some, and everybody's happy.
That was good, guys. That was amazing. Very cool. All right, Chris, question number 7. What's the best TV show or movie to watch with your pet snuggled up besides you?
This is a great question because Tiger she's not one of those animals who understands the television. You know how some animals will like watch, and I know Ron knows this because of dog TV. Some animals truly do watch. Tiger pays no mind, but she does hear the television, or at least she used to before she went deaf. I would say that the times she actually comes down is when it's like something light and animated or like a musical. She doesn't like the way the surround sound shakes the house in like action movies. So if there's like explosions and stuff like that, she's gonna go upstairs. So if I were to pick one movie that would like guarantee Tiger's participation, I'm gonna go ahead and go with the original Lion King. The original animated Lion King, I feel like is right up our alley. Or like the animated Hercules, like those like my generation's Disney animated films.
Ooh, very good.
Nice.
Very good.
Those horns on the music are really going.
I see you talking and dancing. You're like, I like it. It's not Hakuna Matata, but we're getting there.
But we're getting there, yeah.
All right, Kristen Levine, off to you.
Okay. Well, so Tulip and I do watch TV together from time to time. Usually it's either on Friday night, and we like to watch true crime stories. So I like to snuggle up with her then because, you know, it's kind of scary stuff. And then on the weekends, I watch TV sometimes in the morning while I'm having my coffee. And I don't know if she enjoys it, but I enjoy watching the Food Network. So, you know, like Pioneer Woman and Girl Meets Farm and Ina Garden. And I just watch these shows thinking, wow, I should make that. And then I never do. So, but she just loves to be snuggled up with me. And we do from time to time watch dog TV together as well. Usually I'm on my laptop while she's watching. And she is one of those dogs that will watch every movement on the screen, which is really fun to watch her watching other dogs being active. And then of course she takes a nap. So
as nature intended.
All right, good. We're doing great. You're doing great, guys. This is great. Let's just do this for like hours. Question number 125. All right, question number 8. Who's starting now?
Kristen.
Oh, me. Okay.
Here you go. What's the most heartwarming experience you've had with a pet that you'll always remember?
I guess that would have to be taking Chili to the beach. Chili was our lab mix that we had for 11 years, and he absolutely loved the beach. We would take him to Honeymoon Island, which is in Clearwater, Florida, and they have a great dog beach there. And the reason it's a heartwarming memory for me is because he was diagnosed with cancer, and probably from the time he was diagnosed to the time we lost him was about 4 months. And so during that time, we would take him to the beach almost every weekend. And it just made him so happy. And I still will watch the videos of those days because he's running in the surf and he's rolling on his back, scratching his back in the sand. And, I will always remember those moments with Chili because we were able to kind of give him some really great, meaningful moments at the end.
That was nice. Chris Bonifati.
That's going to be tough to top. That Maine Coon cat, Gizmo. Some quick background. The way we acquired Gizmo is my mother and I went to the store to get graph paper before school started, and we came back with a cat. So when we brought the cat back, for anybody who hasn't brought a new cat into their home, there was a huge adjustment process. The cat is usually very skittish, especially Gizmo was kept in this cage that was way, way, way too small for him. He was already fully grown. So the heartwarming experience was my parents telling me, listen, it might take a few weeks, but that night, when we brought him home, I had fallen asleep. He was under the sofa and I'd fallen asleep on the rug. And that night, the first night that he was home, he comes out from under the sofa and he gets up on my chest and lays down. And I remember waking up to him being there and just being so happy, so genuinely happy to have this cat, and that'll always stick with me.
Oh, that's sweet.
That was tough to fit into a minute. I had to truncate. That was a lot longer in my head.
That was good. Question number 9, Chris Bonifati, this is for you.
Okay.
Do you have a dream pet moment you always wanted to experience? For example, taking your dog to the beach, visiting a cat cafe in Japan, or a road trip with your pet, or something like that?
We had a guest on the show a few episodes ago, and unfortunately I don't have my documents in front of me, so I forget his name, but he had done that really long around the world hiking trip with his dog. And while I do not wish to hike for that long, I think it would be cool to do like a proper backpacking trip somewhere outside of my usual stomping grounds, maybe somewhere in like Chile, or Mexico, or even like the Rocky Mountains, just like a long, multiple day hike with just me and I don't know if we'll ever have a dog, but a dog, and maybe my wife will be invited. Not sure yet. Sorry, Hope. Yes, not sure if you're making the cut, but I think something like that would be absolutely right up my alley. Chance to unplug and witness some awesome nature.
That was great. And the guest was Tom Turchich, and his book, The World Walk, is out now.
That's why we have Ron. He remembers stuff.
That's right.
I don't remember anything. It's written on that script that you talked about earlier. All right, Kristen, this is yours.
Okay. My dream pet moment. I got to do this for a very short period of time a couple years ago, and I would love to do it again. And that is go snowshoeing in the snow with my dogs. Now, I say dogs because we're going to adopt another dog soon. But I got to do this a few years ago when we were visiting my sister in Colorado. And it was just this gorgeous, sunny, beautiful day. There was fresh fallen snow on the ground. And we were out there in our snowshoes, and the dogs were just, having a great time, following behind us. And we had to wrap it up because we had to go somewhere. So I think we were only out there for about an hour. But I think I would just love to go back and spend, maybe an entire weekend, just, tromping through the beautiful snow. It has to be warm enough so that it's not really cold. And to have our new adopted dog with us, along with Tulip, just enjoying a beautiful day.
Very cool. I like this music. All right. We made it. Question number 10. This is a big one.
This is going to be the hard one, isn't it?
Whew.
It's the hardest one.
If a train leaving Chicago at 603 kilometers.
The question is, Chris, when you worked at the cosmetics company,
how much makeup did they test on you?
Question number 10, Kristen Levine. It's Thanksgiving. Tell me, what are you most grateful for about your pet and the work you do with animals?
Okay. So first part of that was, what am I most grateful for about my pet Tulip, little Miss Tulip, who's sleeping behind me. I'm grateful that she reminds me to just slow down and enjoy life. Nothing makes her happier than just going for a walk, or, sometimes I hide treats in boxes for her, and it's like Christmas morning. So that's what I'm thankful for about her. As far as what was the second part? What am I thankful for?
And the work
and the work I do. Oh my gosh, I am so thankful and grateful that I get to work in the pet industry with so many amazing people that are in this business because they truly love animals and they want what's best for them, and they want to enrich people's lives through pets. And it's funny, when I think back about my first job in pet, which was at the SPCA, for 15 years I worked there, and I didn't know, I kept thinking, I wonder what I'm going to be when I grow up. And I didn't realize it, but I was there. A pet person.
That was beautiful. Chris, Thanksgiving, what are you most grateful for about your cat, I guess, and the work you do with animals?
Yeah, absolutely. I think with the cat, I'm very thankful for the structure that she brings into my life. When you're having your down days and all you want to do is sort of stay in bed and be a piece of crap, a couch potato. It's great to have a pet that needs you. Like I have to clean the litter box. I have to feed the cat. And Tiger needs to be picked up and put on the sink for water. So she keeps me active even when I don't want to be, even though she's just a cat. And for the work I do, I mean, we talked about how I got this job. It was by chance and not by choice, but it was like hitting the lottery in hindsight. There was a lot of miserable jobs I could have taken with an operations management and economics degree. But I get to leverage those skills for an incredible industry with incredible people, and I wouldn't have it any other way. It's that simple. It's a great place to be.
It's like we rehearsed this almost.
We didn't, but maybe next time we should. Well, listen, thank you, Ron, for hopping on camera and microphone. And thank you, Kristen and myself, for these wonderful, wonderful answers. And that's been our guest segment, folks. That's it. We're now going to move on to your regularly scheduled programming. Thanks so much for sticking with us. And I believe next we have our
I always wanted to do it. Do it.
The product of the week.
Okay, it's time for our product of the week. And it feels good to say that, recovering from having no voice and really struggling to speak. Feels good to belt a product of the week. And as I teased at the top of the show, my product is here for us traveling cat moms and dads who may not be comfortable traveling with their cat. Well, one of our biggest fears with leaving Tiger alone is that she only eats her dry food when she's desperate for food, and she really enjoys and likes the wet food. And a lot of the automatic feeders out there are dry food feeders. That doesn't really help us because I could put a big old bowl of the dry food and she'll pick at it. So there's no need for me to do that kind of thing. Well, it's tough for us to find somebody to watch the cat for Thanksgiving because everybody goes away. Nobody's around. So, everybody's traveling to different parts of the world. So we were really looking for something that would help us here. And I found this product from a company called Pet Libro, and it's an automatic wet food feeder. So in it is 3 compartments, and it obviously connects to your phone, and you fill the feeder with up to 3 cans of wet food. So for Tiger, that's 3 days worth of wet food. And the ones that are inside are refrigerated and kept cool and fresh. And from your phone, you could rotate it, make the fresh one come in. And it's such a simple concept. I don't know why it was so hard to find something like this because there's so many cats on wet food diets nowadays. It comes in a chic black and a modern white. It runs at $130, but they are running a sale right now. I think all in with shipping, I got it for like $110. I still haven't gotten it yet, so I'm waiting for it to come in. Another product that Chris bought and hasn't actually used yet. But this will be a lifesaver. So between this, doubling up the cat litter box and bringing out the spare litter box, the automatic drinking fountain, we're prepared to leave Tiger home for 3 days, which breaks my heart. Don't get at me in the comments and say I'm a bad cat dad because I'm going to be miserable and talking to the cat through my camera. But
does she know when you get out the spare litter box, does she know that means you're going away for a couple days?
She knows as soon as the bags come out.
Yeah.
And she gets she'll start sleeping in the bed with us and stuff like that, which she really doesn't ordinarily do. So as soon as we start packing, she'll know. She's a smart cookie. She's still with it.
I love that product idea. I assume you could use it for a small dog too, or is it specifically for cats?
No, I don't think so. I mean, this company is, like a cat product company. Everything is kind of marketed towards cat owners. But it says cat centric design. It's just low. So like if it was a small dog, I'm sure it would be fine too. There's nothing in here that really, I would say, makes it definitively for cats. But they also, if you have multiple cats, they have one that has the RFID collar thing where the cat whose bowl it is, when they get close, it kind of opens the top of it. In case you have one greedy cat and one less aggressive cat.
Right.
So really, really creative. And I'll do a follow-up in a couple of weeks and let everybody know how it went.
Sounds good. I love it. Great technology. So my product of the week has a food theme, and it is this licky bowl. I call it a licky bowl, but it's actually it's made by the company Licky Mat, and they call it the Licky Mat Wobble. So what they've basically done is taken the Licky Mat and turned it into a bowl shape. And the reason I got this one is because we are training Tulip to stop begging when we're eating dinner. Mm-hmm. And this is the kind of treat I can give her. It's got little, it's textured on the inside. It's got little lumps, and you can smear some raw pumpkin, like you were just talking about, Chris, peanut butter, or if your dog eats wet food, you could smear the wet food in here. And this will keep them busier for longer than the flat Licky Mat. And that's obviously because it wobbles. And the other benefits of either feeding your dog with one of these or giving them treat with this type of this type of dish is that it also reduces anxiety and boredom too. So I was thinking this could be a great thing for Thanksgiving when you want to treat the dog, you kind of want to get them out of your hair. This is something that they can go enjoy, and they'll probably kind of get pooped out after a while, after they get it all cleaned out. So I think it's really smart, and I have not tried it yet either. So this is untested by Tulip, but I have a pretty good feeling she's going to love it.
Yeah, very clever. The distraction technique is sometimes necessary. We had grilled cheese for dinner last night because, it's winter and sometimes you just need grilled cheese. And right. Of course, grilled cheese made with American cheese, Tiger's favorite. She's up on the table. She's going nuts. So I just get a handful of cat treats and put them in the other room. And that buys us enough time. So, sometimes you can't really properly train them. You just have to give them an outlet.
You could try this licky bowl for her too.
Yeah,
there's no reason. I guess it's definitely for cats too. Even though they've got a dog on the label, but yeah, I don't see why Tiger wouldn't enjoy that too with her wet food smeared in there.
Yeah. Maybe I will give it a whirl.
Might make her mad too, though. So I don't know.
She's kind of always angry at me, and for one reason or another, she's always got something to complain about.
Q&As.
All right, Kristen, it's time for my favorite part of the show where we answer questions from our lovely audience. And I know what you're thinking, dear listener. How do I get my question, my burning pet-related question, answered by Chris and Kristen? Well, I've got great news for you. You can head on over to petsadlife.org/podcast. Scroll on down to the bottom of that page, and you will find a form to submit your question. Or if you're feeling as brave as a father cooking for a family of 12 on Thanksgiving, you could leave us a voice memo and you may hear your question played live on our show. But without further ado, Kristen, I got a question for you. Not from
All
you.
right. Hit me
but
with
a
it.
question for you from Michael from Lexington, Kentucky. Thank you, Michael, for your question. Michael asks, I recently adopted a horse and want to make sure I'm providing the best care. What are the most important things to consider for keeping a horse healthy and happy? Sorry for this beginner question, but I am a beginner and need some help! ! With the exclamation point, Kristen.
I'm sure there's probably a couple of exclamation points there. Well, Lexington, Kentucky is a beautiful horse country. So yes. I would imagine, Michael, that you probably know a lot of horse people. And I hope you do, because if you're a beginner, there's a lot to learn about taking care of a horse. I actually had the opportunity to have a horse for a couple of years. Maybe, I guess this is going back about a decade or so. And it was such an incredible experience. But I had a next door neighbor who was a riding instructor. And so she taught me everything that, that I needed to know as a new horse parent. So I would say, first of all, Michael, I would say you're going to need about 3 different key people in your life to help you take great care of this horse. Number 1 is I'll call it your horse mentor, whether that's just somebody that you can ask questions of or a riding instructor if you plan on riding the horse. Secondly, you want to have a great equine vet. And thirdly, you'll want to find a great farrier. A farrier is the person that comes out and trims your horse's hooves or shoes your horse's hooves, like every 8 to 12 weeks, depending on how you're using the horse. But horses, they need a lot of space, as you probably know. You probably know a lot of this if you've already adopted the horse. But just to give you an idea, clean water is really important. Horses drink anywhere from 5 to 10 gallons every single day. Plenty of hay or pasture grass. I read that horses can eat 15 to 20 pounds of grass or hay a day. And then, of course, you might consider grain. Like a grain feed, depending again on how you're going to use the horse. Is it strictly for, riding pleasure or a pasture horse? Those things will all affect, what kind of feeding plan you should have. And as far as health maintenance, your horse will need regular checkups annually, dental care, vaccinations, deworming, and then I mentioned the hoof care as well. So there's a lot to learn, but like I said, if you have a good horse friend or horse mentor, somebody to lean on and ask questions of, I think you'll be in good shape. But best of luck. Having a horse was one of the favorite times of my life. It was just really rewarding.
We could all use a good horse friend.
Yes.
But I have nothing to add. I don't know anything about horses. I've ridden a horse twice in my life, and both times I was incredibly uncomfortable. They're large and intimidating animals. It is not like being near a dog or a cat. But congratulations. I'm sure it's going to be an amazing experience.
Yes. Thanks, Michael. Okay, Chris, I have a question for you. And this one comes from Amanda in Seattle. And Amanda says, I've heard a lot about positive reinforcement versus correction in pet training. Can you explain the difference and which one is more effective for long-term behavior improvement?
It's a great question. So to explain the difference, positive reinforcement is get a treat when the behavior is what you want it to do. And correction is a bit more, I don't want to use the word forceful, but it is. It's a bit more of, using tools or carrot versus stick is what we'll call it. And correction is more the stick, using things like choke collars or an electric fence to try and curb certain types of behavior. And I am firmly in the camp of positive reinforcement. I've been around a lot of dogs, since I was a little kid all the way to being a big kid now. I've seen a lot of different dogs. I've been in a lot of houses with different dogs. I've seen a lot of dogs at different trade shows. And I will tell you something definitive that I have seen. The dogs that were trained with positive reinforcement are much more adaptable to their surroundings. And the dogs that were trained with corrective behavior training, once they get outside of their element, are buck wild, absolutely buck wild. In fact, I have a few friends who may even be listening to the show, if you are, thank you, who came into a relationship with their partners, and their partner had dogs who had been trained with corrective training, and they introduced positive reinforcement, and within months, maybe 3 or 4 months, dogs act completely differently. It's almost like their personality shifted, more friendly, less barking, not jumping up on everything and everybody, because it's just a better way to do it. And here's the thing, and it's harder. It's much more difficult and takes a lot more diligence and patience on the handler's side to properly do positive reinforcement training. And I think that's why a lot of people don't do it, because it's easier instead of teaching your dog to stay, you want to let them out into your unfenced backyard, instead of training them over the course of 3 or 4 months to stay in the yard, it's easier to just buy an electric fence. Instead of training your dog to not jump up on people or on other dogs when you're taking them for a walk, it's easier just to get a choke collar or a pinch collar. So I would say don't take the easy way. Take the hard way. Take it seriously. Look up some videos. There's 1 trillion resources out there. In fact, Pets Add Life, this wonderful podcast, I don't know if you've heard of it, called Pets Add Life, has had a lot of really talented dog trainers on their show giving advice. So look back on some of those episodes for some techniques, and just be prepared for a challenging but rewarding road.
That's a great answer. I agree 100%. You get out of your dog, when it comes to training, exactly what you put into it and the effort and the love that you put into it.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
All right. So thank you, Amanda, for your question. And where are we going next?
The end of the show.
Oh, it's the end of the show.
It's the end of the show. Where are we going? We're going to Thanksgiving. It's turkey time.
All right.
It's turkey time. We got a beautiful NFL slate. We've got hors d'oeuvres. I don't know. How about this? Before we go, what's one thing your family does for Thanksgiving that you don't think other families do?
Ooh. Well, one thing we do, and I've never really asked if other families do this, but we maintain some of the recipes of our family members who have passed. So
that's very nice.
Yeah. So I always make my grandma Davis's sweet potato casserole. My sister-in-law, she always makes her mom's mashed potatoes. And that's a tradition that we kind of started maybe, a few years ago. So I really love that tradition. And it gives us a reason to talk about our loved ones when we're making it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Ours
How about you?
is, I'm stuck between day before Thanksgiving lasagna, because it's just an easy dish to make to feed a lot of people when tomorrow is about to be, hefty, or the incredible antipasto platter that my father puts together that is breakfast and lunch. It's the food you're allowed to eat before Thanksgiving dinner, because we're all kind of trying to save room for the main event. But very, very Italian of us. Who would have thunk a guy named Chris Bonafati would have an antipasto platter on Thanksgiving? But hey, whatever your traditions or quirks for Thanksgiving are, dear listeners and viewers, thank you for making Pets Add Life part of it for this very special Thanksgiving episode. I am incredibly thankful for all of you. Without you, we wouldn't do this. It would just be Chris and Kristen shouting into the void. But because of you, you give us purpose. So thank you very much.
And Chris,
thank you, Chris and Kristen, because you're like the best host ever, I think.
We're
didn't check this. I'm not sure I'm correct about
We're who is available. Let's be honest. We're
different hosts out there. People like different hosts, but you're one of the best. You're good hosts. Very good host.
Yeah, and how about this? The whole
We're thankful
Dog
for
TV,
you.
The whole Dog TV crew. I mean, Kristen and I just show up. We just show up.
Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you show up.
Sometimes, yeah, and sometimes
have to let everybody know what's really going on here.
Yes.
Right.
So for the whole crew out there, including producer Ron, who edits and puts this show together, makes it available on all the platforms, a heartfelt thank you. We're very grateful. So we'll be back next Tuesday. And until then, be kind to yourself, be kind to your animals, and we'll see you then.
Bye-bye now.
Oh.